On this week's show, we'll be discussing GamePass makes some major changes, new PlayStation Plus games for July, and is this the death of brick and mortar game stores? All that and much, much more on this week's GamerGuild Podcast. Good game, everyone, and welcome back to the GamerGuild Podcast, your weekly show where we round up all the week's video games, news and stories for your listening or viewing pleasure right here on youtube.com/GamerGuildTV and up there in the digital clouds on your podcast preference of choice. Your podcast players for this week are none other than myself and Mr. Chris.
It's me. I'm back. Not that I went away. I just realised I have a St. George's flag up, and it's hidden by my big head.
Yeah.
So
I know it's there, but when you turned, the camera picked it up, so you're good.
It's in the reflection because Richie, this could be it. We could be sat here when this episode goes live, winners of the Euros.
We could be.
How you feel? How are you feeling? I know we won't talk about football. I know there's everyone's immediately going, "Oh fuck, they're talking about footy again."
Sorry, guys, we're England fans, and
it's over. This is the last one. This is the last week. It's over. Yeah, we're England fans. We're football fans, and we're in the final. Somehow we're in the final.
Yeah, that's kind of my feelings. So it's somehow we're in the final. We haven't made it easy for ourselves, although I think we deserve to beat the Netherlands. For once, we went into the game and actually looked like the better team. Which is probably the first time I'd actually say that in this entire tournament.
Yeah. And in a weird twist of fate and luck and the sod's law of the way football is, it was like, I couldn't see us winning it. I'm quite confident there's a good chance. Anything's down to 90 minutes. It's 11v11. And you know what? They ironically could have the best... Well, I mean, could have had yesterday the best match of the tournament. It's been building up. They have gradually been getting better. And Spain are due a bad game, so you never know with football. But I guess the results, we won't talk about too much because the results done and dusted. It's over. We could look silly talking about, but I'm confident. I think there's a good chance we could pip this.
I think Spain are going to win, to be honest.
They have been the better team the whole tournament, easily. Like some of their players look fantastic. They've consistently
been the best team in this tournament.
They have, but they're two young lads down the wing. Inexperienced when it comes to it, as they're both absolute future world superstars, but they are only kids, and I think a good bit of rough and tough from the older lads should help out. But
yeah, I feel a bit sorry for Kieran Trippier on that left hand side of the pitch if he's the one who's starting that left back against is it that what's his name?
It's Jamal Lewis is the
it's
Nico Williams on the left.
It's Nico, yeah, but Trippier will be against the other guy. Can't remember his name, but isn't he like 16-year-old?
Jamal Lewis, yeah.
It's not Jamal Lewis. He plays for Newcastle. He's a left back.
Oh, wait there, Lewis Jamal, is it?
It doesn't matter. You know what I mean.
I do.
I'm not confident in Trippier winning that duel, but you know what? I am confident, Chris.
What's that, Richie?
And people liking this video and subscribing to the channel and hitting that bell icon so they're kept in the news of all our fantastic content here at the GamerGuild Podcast on GamerGuildTV, whatever you want to call it. We have some great content coming up. Obviously, the podcast every single Monday, 8 a.m. GMT on YouTube podcast services. We have our live streams where I've actually did 2 Zelda streams within a month.
Wow,
I know.
That's some kind of new record right there.
It is.
You mean there hasn't been a 3-month gap in between?
No, it hasn't been a 6-month gap in between. So we're getting towards the end game in Ocarina of Time now. I think there's only a few streams left.
Enjoying it still?
I am. I always enjoy Ocarina of Time, but we've just beat, for anyone who knows the game well, just to beat the Shadow Temple. That's up on the YouTube channel if you want to go watch that. We also did the Bottom of the Well. And I think there's only Spirit Temple and then Ganon's Tower really left to do with major story dungeons. There's still a lot of extras to do, and I am thinking about at some point doing a members only stream for the clean up their side stuff. But I'll figure that out as I go. Have you been playing anything interesting?
Just Sly Raccoon. Thievis Raccoonus, Sly Cooper, whatever the name was that we searched for last week. I think I was talking to my brother. It had 2 different names in the US and in the UK.
Sly Cooper.
Sly Cooper and then Sly Raccoon, Thievis Raccoonus is the US release name, I think. But yeah, I'm still enjoying it. I'm chipping away. Again, the great thing with those older style games is it's very linear in terms of it's level structured. So every night when I've got a spare hour or 2 between looking after the little one and work and stuff, just jumping in, doing an hour, doing a couple of like clean up in the areas. The trophy list is very much a case of collect all the bottles in each area, do 1 or 2 like quirky things, like get through the level without being seen, get through the level and break all windows in one room, like like typical like just trophy stuff. But there doesn't seem to be anything overly pressing, so I'm probably going to finish that by the end of next week. And then as we head into the summer, I think we're busy for like every other weekend for the foreseeable. So I'm just keeping it on the down low until Star Wars Outlaws. That's my plan. And then obviously what we stream on the channel. Space Marine, played more Space Marine. That went up this past Friday. There'll probably be more up when we get around to it as well. I think I'm about halfway through now. Really enjoying that one as well. And we'll probably have a live stream coming up in the next week or 2. Got an idea for it to maybe tie in with some multimedia properties that are about to launch. So it should be interesting. But just a slow burn for me right now. Slow burn. I'm also using Duolingo on my app to try and brush up on my French. Not that it's a game, but it's very gamified in terms of point scores. I'm in a Sapphire League right now, and I keep getting notifications every morning saying you're going to drop out of the Sapphire League unless you do some more learning practices. And it's like, okay, you've got me, but I'm doing quite well. Yeah, it's working. It's fun. I'm actually enjoying it. I'm on like a 75-day learning streak right now. So
should we stop the recording now and we'll start again? But you have to do it all in French.
Ah, bonjour, ça va?
I have no idea what you said. Something about apples.
No. I think apples are pomme de terre, which is like, that might be potato.
Pomme's definitely potato.
It's apple of the earth.
Yeah.
Pomme de terre. Pomme. Yeah. Fritz.
2 beers, please.
Deux bières, s'il vous plaît.
And that is your French lesson for the day, brought to you by Chris. For me, I am chipping away at Uncharted 1. I have technically 2 trophies left to get, but they're stackable. They're both difficulty trophies, so I'm working on my crushing one. And this is the first point where I'm starting to see some of the flaws of the Portal.
Oh, all right, okay.
Playing that game and crushing on the Portal, I think I've started feeling a bit of latency.
Okay.
It's not a lot, but when you're on such a high level of difficulty, these small moments are starting to add up. And there's a few times when I pull the trigger, or I'll release the trigger to go back and cover, and it's just that 1 second later and I get killed.
Yeah, it's crushing.
It is. Adding the size of the screen makes it harder to get headshots, especially at distant enemies.
Yeah, I can imagine that, not having your full scope of view.
It hasn't ruined my opinion of the Portal, or even of Uncharted. It's just like, this is not a challenge I should probably be attempting on that device. I do think it is the device a bit holding me back.
Yeah, there's definitely a time and a place, I think, for certain things on handheld, and I think that's when we said when I platinumed Sea of Stars, it was like that was just perfect for the Portal, because there's no real speed requirement. It looks beautiful and stunning on a smaller screen. Yeah, but I think there's certain ones, like I would never play Call of Duty on the Portal, something like that. I
played through like the entirety of Uncharted 1 story. Done most of the collectibles, most of the combat trophies, stuff that I didn't already have from my previous playthrough, without issue. It's only when I've went on to crushing difficulty that the issues are starting to creep in a bit.
Yeah.
And it's just a case of, I'm hoping actually I've got the platinum before the show goes live. Next on the list is Uncharted 2.
Nice.
But I've already got the platinum in that, so it's just going to be play through the story, then move on to Uncharted 3.
Oh, I'm jealous in a way. I need to get back. I want to get back to Uncharted in amongst other things.
And then maybe I'll consider Uncharted 4, but I'm going to wait until I've got towards the end of Uncharted 3, see how I feel before then, and where we're looking at in terms of months, because with things like Star Wars Outlaws coming up, there's obviously Zelda Echo of Wisdom coming up, games I'm interested in. I don't know which way I'm going to go about that. I've got a feeling I won't play Star Wars Outlaws, you know.
It happens. You've still got to finish Jedi Survivor.
Yeah, I've given up.
Forces.
Well, the thing is, I said the same thing about Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order, is they just, for whatever reason, doesn't fully grip me, them games. I know I've said in the past, one of the issues I've got with that game is I've got it on Xbox and I'm rarely home and to play it. But even when I am home, I don't feel myself gravitating towards playing it. I had the same thing with Jedi Fallen Order, where I like that game. I give it, I think, a solid 8 out of 10, but I didn't love it in the way of a lot of other people did. And I don't know why. I've never been able to put my finger on it.
I think it's because you're part of the separatist army.
100%.
Roger.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to play it because I love the story. There's something that just doesn't quite click. I don't know. I just don't really know what it is. Usually when a game doesn't click for you, you're able to go, this is why, and I just haven't. But I just keep finding myself not going, oh, I've got a few hours at home. I'll play a bit of that. I think it might be just a bit of momentum, that the story hasn't got any momentum built up because of how sporadic I've played it.
Yeah, it can happen, can't it? And I think sometimes you do need to be in the right, like our audience will know, you sometimes have to just be in the right mood for that right type of game. And I think maybe with you playing Uncharted as well, there's like quite a lot of similarities between the gameplay style and the storytelling nature of those. Like there's a lot of Uncharted's kind of like design that is mirrored in the Jedi series, which is why I really enjoy them. But yeah, I completely know where you're coming from.
Yeah. On paper though, it's a game that I should absolutely love. And maybe if I had a longer stretch of time, I'm hoping it comes to PlayStation Plus, to be honest, then I'll play it in the Portal. Because it is playable on my phone with a Kishi.
Yeah.
But no one wants to do that. Kishi's a terrible controller.
Good wrestler, though.
What?
Rikishi.
Indeed.
Before we move on, it's Lamine Yamal.
Lamine Yamal, yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone's been referring to him as Yamal like it's his first name, so I think in my head I've got Yamal, and then my football is linked to Yamal Lewis because he's obviously Newcastle.
Insanely good for his age.
10-17 this weekend.
Imagine what we were doing when we're his age.
I don't even know if I'd had alcohol by then.
16.
Maybe like a Wicked or something.
I'm sure I've seen you. I know you didn't drink beer, but I'm sure I've seen you drink before you turned 16.
I don't know if I did. I can't remember. Either way,
you drank too much. That's why.
Yeah, mate. Forgot it all. But
talking about drinking too much, Chris, would you like to introduce us to the
graciously gathered Gamer Guild Gazette, aka the news?
The news, and as always, our news is brought to you by our guild heroes, which you can join for as little as 99p over on the YouTube channel, giving you early access to this very show. And Chris, is Space Marine gone up early access for members or not?
That was the initial plan, but then because of the nature of wanting to get one out a week, it didn't land this week. It all depends on when I get time to record them, and it's quite difficult between work and stuff at the moment. So I'm away with work this week as well, so it's kind of I'm not going to put up for members if it's going to go up like within the next 24 hours because YouTube scheduling doesn't really work to get it up and out. But we'll see. That is the members. Obviously, the intention is to always give them it early, but we shall see.
And as I said earlier, I'm actually kind of planning a members first stream of Zelda, where it's going like I did with Child Link, but with Adult Link, doing a lot of cleanup stuff. First news item of the week, Chris. PlayStation Plus. We've got some new games coming to the catalogue as you mid-month.
Yeah. Better than the claimable games, in my opinion. What have we got coming?
They usually are, actually, to be honest. That's what I think I've found over the last probably year or so. The quality of the claimable games has dropped off, and the mid-month ones went up, because I think with the mid-month ones are only for extra and premium, it entices you to up your membership. So on the list this month we have Remnant 2, Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord, the Jackbox Party Pack 9, No More Heroes free. We have Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Reunion, and Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. Oh, and there's also Travis Strikes Again, but it was not on the key art. No more. Oh, that's No More Heroes. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think Remnant 2 is obviously the standout one. I think looking at the pool list of games that came out claimable, as you said. Remember when everyone was having a conversation about PlayStation really needs to pivot to a Game Pass model with PlayStation Plus to really benefit, and they kind of just stayed the course. And then, in a way, they're getting the best of both worlds now. They're not having to put their day one releases on PlayStation Plus. They just broker these second-buyer deals. And they get them, like, Remnant 2 is just short of a year old. So it's not even hit that anniversary time yet. And you're getting it. It's claimable. So you're right, I think it pushes people towards premium, which is give or take similar to Game Pass pricing structure. Although we'll talk about Game Pass's pricing structure soon. And I remember Remnant 2 got loads of praise. I think it reviewed really well. I think it was like 8s and some 9s from some people. Over on Steam, it's got recent reviews, mostly positive. Overall reviews, very positive. And that's out of 36,000 reviews. Not bad. This is like a very, very well-reviewed game. And yeah, getting anything under a year old, I think, is always a great win. So I think that's my top pick out of the PlayStation Plus list. From the cover art ones. I will say, though, make sure to read into the actual blog, because there are a couple of more games that you get.
A few more stuff. Deadcraft, Steep. Then you've got some classics in VR 2. Stuff coming like Job Simulator for VR 2. Summoner.
That's a good one.
Just Summoner for PS4 and PS5. Ratchet and Clank Size Matters for PS4, PS5.
Formerly PSP exclusive as well.
Is that the PSP version?
Yes, it's one of the good couple of PSP games. I think Ratchet and Clank explicitly had quite a few games across the PSP and Vita, because they were like 3D platformers, they were easy to port across. There's a standalone Ratchet game, I think we got. Sorry, Clank game, not Ratchet, which we got. So yeah, it's nice to see them coming over with trophy support as well. And I will say, actually, to go back to my Sly Cooper playthrough as well, what's making it really easy is all these games come with that pause and rewind functionality.
Oh, right. So if you die, you can just go back to it.
And
like
some
frustration.
Of them, yeah, some of the Sly games, it's like it's one-hit kill if you get hit by a bad guy, because it's all about stealth, like he's a sneaky raccoon. And I played like the first 4 or 5 missions, and I was getting a little bit frustrated at like getting caught out by, because I'm trying to obviously go through it quite quickly. I'm not like taking my time, because it's an old game, so there's no like modern sensibilities to keep you engaged as much as you would probably find in a new game. So I was getting a bit frustrated, and then I paused it. I pressed the pause button by accident rather than the touchpad for pause, and it brought up like the whole rewind, all the frames on the timeline, and I was like, I've died so many times and had to restart. Oh, it restarts right at the beginning of the level. That's the frustrating element. So you die at any point, and you're pretty much back to the start unless you hit like one of a few checkpoints. And so I was getting irritated by that, thinking, I've got to go through it all again and collect all the coins again. And then I realised, I was like, shit, I could just literally pause it the second after, rewind by 20 frames, and I'm good.
There's nothing more frustrating as a gamer than sometimes it's just having to repeat a large section of the game to get back to the challenge that you're trying to beat.
Over and over.
I've had it with Uncharted, actually. There's been times when there's like, I'll clear out an area, move forward, then one enemy will just one-shot me with a pistol across halfway across the map, because that's just what crushing does to you. And then suddenly after I'm going back to before the massive fight, and it's like, so I have to do that again. Yeah, and then
you've got different guns again that you need to go and find, and
then the enemy, it's inconsistent what the enemies do sometimes, so you can't. It's not like you can just learn it. Learn a pattern sometimes. Yeah, it's been frustrating, but having I would love the rewind feature in that game.
Well, I'm at a point now where, because I'm able to do that, obviously as soon as I get hit, I just pause it, rewind like 5 seconds, and have another crack at it. But you know the enemy's movements, so I've got like 25 lives now, as opposed to having 1, maybe 2 at a push beforehand. I've basically turned Sly Cooper into a Prince of Persia game where I can rewind time as often as I want to.
I understand a lot of people would consider it cheating, but for me it's just that if banging your head against the wall, having to spend about another 10 minutes getting back to the point where you're trying to figure out the challenge, it's for me, it's just sometimes it's just a time-saving thing more than anything. Yeah. And it allows you, I think sometimes it just allows you to be able to enjoy the game more than I am on Uncharted at the moment.
That's exactly what it's done. I'm enjoying it infinitely more now.
Yeah. It's like, I think we're talking on my live stream of Zelda about, someone was asking me what version of the game I was playing. I'm playing on Switch Online using the N64 controller, which I still have on my desk from last night, because we're recording this on Friday. And someone told me that they used emulators, and which is fair enough. It's like, I tend to use emulators if I play an old Pokemon game, and the reason for it is I'll use speed hacks so I can level up easier. Because some of the old Pokemon games are slow and sluggish, and it's like, and you know what? I don't want to spend weeks and weeks and weeks just to level up. I just want to get through it. So your pick was Remnant 2.
I think so. Yeah, I think the second to that would probably be Final Fantasy Crisis Core, but I'm not sure at all where this fits into it. Was this the one that came out about a year ago as well? In between. It was before 16, was it?
2 or 3 years ago. It was I think it was before 16. I might be wrong there.
No, that sounds about right. But so after Remake and then before 16.
Yeah.
So where does this fit into it all? I remember when you were playing it. I do like in the little blurb, but it says the legacy that connects him to cloud, and in my brain it said to the cloud, because we cover so much cloud gaming, and I was like, eh?
So I've never actually played this. I actually have it here on my desk.
I don't remember you playing. Oh wait, you went back and played through.
I played through 7. So this is basically a prequel to 7.
Right.
So it is how the different number Final Fantasies are completely different, basically different universes. This is in the Final Fantasy VII universe. I want to say it was originally a PSP game. The remake is PS4, right, PS5. And in the engine of 7. Yeah, gameplay is different to 7 a bit, but it's set. The story-wise, it's set before 7, before the events of 7. I believe that you have the classic scene at the start of 7 where Cloud comes riding in on a train. I believe it's the events that lead up to that moment.
Right, okay.
But again, I've not actually played through the game myself yet. I have it. It's actually my girlfriend's copy is the one I've got from when I was doing a bit of a Final Fantasy binge earlier in the year. But then I kind of burnt out on Final Fantasy and never got around to playing it.
Yeah.
And I just remembered when I saw it in the news that it was actually on my piano behind me.
Hey, that's
for
cool
months.
that it's sat there, especially if you while you're fatigued, when you want to go back to it, it's there. Yeah, I can imagine the gameplay being different because of the nature of it being a portable game originally. Yeah. So it wouldn't have had the processing power or the scope of a main console entry.
Yeah, and it's a spin-off as well. So the spin-offs tend to be a bit, like any franchise, spin-offs tend to be a bit more experimental stuff.
Yeah. I've sideway to spin-offs. I've been watching the Gen V of The Boys on Amazon as well, and actually I'm enjoying that more than the main season. It's weird, like it's a spin-off. It's got new characters, but it was kind of like, it's actually surprisingly good. Just as a side note, but yeah, Final Fantasy. I have no idea. I'm so glad that I'm. I loved 16. Yeah. I think it was my game of the year last year. But I'm so glad that
Alan Wake topped it at the end.
Yes, it did. It did. Yeah, just nicked in there. Damn you, Alan. But he was so close, so close. But I think I'm so glad I started at 16 and didn't start with 7, then Rebirth, and then having to wait for a third one. And I think 16 was such a succinct in and out story.
Yeah,
beautiful, gorgeous gameplay, and I appreciate it's created a bigger appreciation for the whole series. Which I think if I started maybe somewhere else, I might have not seen it through or fell off of it or something, where knowing the scope of it, because you've got that weight on your shoulders, haven't you? With anything that hits a series where you're up to the 16th, 17th entry, not including the spin-offs, I feel like as a gamer, whether it's gaming or TV or like when someone comes to you and goes, there's this great show on Netflix, 7 seasons, you go, no. That's a commitment. How good is it really? It has that extra weight to it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I think, 16, and one day when I'm retired, I might play through them all.
Yeah, I think there is something we said for a game being one and done. Obviously, 7 was originally just that. It was just 7. Then it was years later. Originally, I think 7 came out in the 90s, and it was early 2000s. The Crisis Core came out, so it wasn't like they went straight to it. Obviously, they split 7 up into 3 parts for the remake, which after playing 2, 7 and Rebirth, totally understand why. Both of them games are huge in their own right. They've expanded the story. They've made the open world a bit more open as well. So they've done things so there is enough game in there to do it. But yeah, I think for me, Crisis Core is definitely the pick of the bunch because it is something I do intend to play at some point. And if it wasn't for Rebirth being basically endless in its story, I would have already played it by now.
That's mad. I was looking. I've just looked on Reddit as well. How many total Final Fantasy games are there? And how many do you reckon?
Well,
take a pot shot guess.
There's 16 mainline titles. I would add in the 2 7 remake titles. That's 18.
Remakes, yeah.
Add in, I think, is it Final Fantasy 11? There's 3 parts to it. Right. I want to say, so I'm going to add another 2 on there. That takes us up to 20.
Pixel remakes? How many of them have they done?
Oh, Christ, the Pixel remasters are 6.
Yeah, right.
There's 6 of them, so that's 26. Then there's Final Fantasy X-2. That's 27. I'm going to say about 30.
Okay, so there's obviously the tactics games and the portable ones as well.
I'm going to go 40 then.
Yeah. And there was Game Boy releases back in the day of certain things. So all in all, this list reckons there is between 95 to 120 because there was also some that were Japanese released only. Crystal Chronicles, Mystic Quest, Japanese and North America only. X2. Tactics Advanced, Legends series, like stuff I've probably never even heard of. The Saga series.
That's something I want on this. I'd love to see come to PlayStation Plus, the Pixel Remaster collection.
Yeah,
I'd love that.
There's so many. Well, after playing Sea of Stars, that's where I was like leaning towards. Like maybe I should try a Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster, but the price for the collection was like 40-50 quid, and I thought, no, I'll wait off on that one.
Yeah, to be honest, it's worth the money for the amount of games you get.
Yeah,
but I'm like you, you can buy them separate, but it feels like that's a bad decision economically.
Yeah, you want the collection, yeah,
and it does feel like it should have eventually come. But I also kind of want a remake, and you know how Dragon Quest 3 is getting a 2D HD remake. Yeah, that'd be awesome for the original, like the original like SNES ones. Like, I think that would be an amazing thing, and it is Square ones that who does them. So,
and then where does online fit into it? Because online gets like yearly expansions now, doesn't it? So are they like games unto themselves now, or
I would take online even expanded as a single thing, like because you can see the expanded as DLC. So, like Final Fantasy 16 got DLC. You're not counting them as new titles.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Unless you're the Game Awards and you get what was it, best ongoing game for Cyberpunk or something.
Yeah, it's weird. Cyberpunk's a good game.
But aside from Remnant and that, Jackbox is always a fun game. There's a couple of nice other smaller ones in there that look like they'd be a good laugh. Steep was fun for what it was if you like snowboard. And Job Simulator is one of the best VR games out there. It's just a shame VR is dead. But the catalogue gets bigger, and like you said, it's competing with Game Pass without having to directly compete with Game Pass. So
yeah, indeed.
Interesting.
Shall we move on to talk about Game Pass? Actually,
yeah,
unless there's any other games
Switch.
you want to talk about. I think Mountain Blade 2 is meant to be decent.
Yeah,
I think Rob will probably be happy with that. Although I reckon he'd play it on the PC. It feels more Mountain Blade feels to me more like a PC game.
Yeah, it looks it as well.
Yeah, let's talk about Game Pass because we've had some major changes actually to Game Pass.
Again.
Well, we haven't had them yet, but they are coming. I don't even know where to begin with these changes. So there's a new tier and the price changes. Should we start with describing what the new tiers will be first?
Yes. I mean, yeah. So they put out a blog post this week, didn't they?
Yeah, so I'm reading from Windows Central at the moment. Under the What You Need to Know section, Xbox Game Pass is Microsoft's all-you-can-eat gaming, blah, 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 blah. Including, so basically the new title, I'm looking for the name of it.
So so here's what you need to know. The website's really bad because it puts adverts and stuff in between the information, so it looks like the article's finished, and actually the core of the information's further down. Xbox Game Pass for console is going to be shuttered to new users only. So basically, if you want Xbox Game Pass on a console, it's only if you're a new user to the platform. I don't know how they're going to manage that. I guess it's going to be like a welcome promotion if you're new to Xbox, which seems a bit harsh on current users. However, if you're currently on Xbox Game Pass for console, you'll be allowed to maintain your subscription as well as any day one games you had and the back catalogue as well. So it's kind of like phasing that out. And if you remember, they changed that to Xbox Game Pass Core. Which was games with gold. Which
we always felt at the time this was them phasing it out. But eventually, I thought Game Pass Core was going to get phased out. It's still going to exist, at least in these changes. Yeah. There's a new standard tier is coming, which is basically Game Pass, as you know it, but without day one games.
That's the big one.
Yeah, it will include EA All Access. And for some reason, they still need to bring out, it still includes Xbox Live Gold for multiplayer. If you own a platform and in 2024 you require a paid service for multiplayer, fuck you. To be honest, that should just be standard practice now. You buy the console, you plug it in, you can access games online, multiplayer games online.
Well, now I'm confused because now it says to play games online, and then it says known as Game Pass Core, confusingly. But I'm sure the entry tier was Game Pass Core. So now standard.
Yeah, you used to have to pay Xbox Live Gold or whatever it's called,
I remember that,
to get online multiplayer, and they've rebranded. They basically did a rebrand.
But now that's called Game Pass Core, but it's not the same as standard.
Yeah.
Remember when it was just you had Game Pass and Game Pass Ultimate were the two tiers?
Yeah, you had console Game Pass and PC Game Pass, which are basically equivalents of the same thing, but platform specific. And then you had Ultimate, which was you get both plus cloud gaming.
Yeah. They're also stopping people from stacking memberships now. So if you went to and people do it on PlayStation Plus as well before their recent changes, where you just go to a shop and buy like a subscription for Game Pass, like a voucher code, and you just go on the account, renew the voucher, etc. until you've got 5 years stacked up for super cheap. You can only do that for up to 30 months now, so they're really, really limited. And I'm guessing that's to factor in like inflation and stuff like that, because we've always gone on all these changes to Game Pass hasn't really impacted us because we're on the all access plans for 2 years.
Yeah.
So our fee was locked in regardless of inflation and price changes and stuff. We have Ultimate for the whole time of that all access plan. So the only one that's not really being touched is Ultimate, but that is getting a price increase again. We had a price increase last year. I think they announced it just before Christmas. So we've seen 2 price increases in a short turnaround now. Is this a surprise to you, or is this like an inevitability when they spend $76 billion on getting Activision? Like now we're actually going to start to get those games. It has to trickle down somewhere, right?
I think this is inevitable because I think this is why they're bringing in the lower tier option, the new standard tier where you do not get day and date games. Mm-hmm. I think the point of that is to allow them to push this price up. And as someone who's on Ultimate, it kind of sucks. But I understand why, and we've reported several times, like in recent months, that Game Pass seems to be struggling financially. So they need to find a way to make it more viable financially. So if you are, and I'm not, it's weird because it's just one of them. It does negatively impact me because it's pushing up the price of the service.
Yeah,
but it's only going to work out, I think, a couple of quid a month.
It's £2. It's going up from $12.99 to $14.99 in the UK.
Yeah,
and so Game Pass Core's going up from £50 a year to $55.99. Yeah.
But the introduction of the standard tier is if you don't care about day and date games and you just want access to that catalogue. Standard's probably your best bet now.
Yeah, but I feel like most people have Game Pass for the day and date. Like that is the biggest pull, and I think that's why they're making this distinctive split, because they know, and PlayStation have said this from the beginning, the value is in their day one first party games to draw people in. So I think taking that out of one of the tiers, just like we've just praised Premium for doing, it's pushing you towards paying the extra bit. And you know what? It's a weird one, because as you said, it will impact you and me both, and most of our audience. At the same time, it's still so much value. Like, if you know you're going to play at least 1 or 2 games from that Xbox library, that first-party library, within a year, you're making your money back anyway, rather than paying £70 a pop for a title. So, it's still the best value in gaming, hands down, for me, even with the price increases, if you're an Ultimate. But, yeah, it's annoying, I think, for the most part, because it's muddling the message now. What was a simple proposition of you get Game Pass, everything day one, with a mixture of games trickling throughout the year as well, and online, to now, you only get online with this one, and then now you don't get first party games with this one unless you're an Ultimate, but then there's a PC tier as well, but then you can't stack them, but you can pay for 12 months, and then... You know what I mean? I feel like the message has gone from so simple to now it's like PlayStation, Premium, Essentials, Ultimate, Extra, different zones.
Well, I think PlayStation's are still it's 3 tiers per zone, and I think they're quite clear in what you can get. I mean, Extra and Premium, that's where you get started to get the lines blurred, because some things you get, like the classics and cloud gaming, you only get on Premium.
Yep.
But then you got remote play or whatever.
And Sony's TV service, whatever the hell that is.
Yeah, no
Sony.
I think they need to go take this, and they've made a mess of it, and strip it back to 3 tiers. Get rid of the PC Game Pass. So you're not going console or PC. What you just, because Xbox, they keep talking about they want you to be able to play their games wherever you are. So get rid of the platform specific tier and just go. I get rid of Core as well. And just maybe strip it back all the way to just 2 tiers. Go standard, gives you everything, barring day-and-date games. Ultimate gives you day-and-date games plus cloud gaming.
Yeah.
And there
I'm
you go.
surprised they haven't split cloud gaming into one of the tiers, keeping that in Ultimate, to make Ultimate seem juicier. That's what PlayStation do.
Yeah, but it is only in Ultimate, isn't it? Cloud gaming. It is already in just Ultimate.
I presumed it was everything. Oh, is it?
No, that's just Ultimate.
It's hard now, because when you look for a graph of what's included,
it's a mess.
It's muddy now.
I get rid of Core and just take the hit and just grandfather everyone who's currently in Core into Standard. You're giving them an upgrade anyway. Remove the need for a subscription for live multiplayer. It's archaic nonsense. Get rid of it. And again, I would just go for 2 tiers. You have your basic tier, which is standard, and your premium tier, which is everything you get in standard, plus a new game, plus day-and-date games, plus cloud gaming. And to be honest, doing that, you could probably even push that price even slightly higher if you wanted to, because it's still great value.
I could honestly see in the next couple of years, I think Game Pass Ultimate will be pushing the £20 mark. I think $19.99 a month. It still seems fair, like, for what you get realistically. You are right about the cloud, by the way.
Yeah,
it is Ultimate only.
Although they can't go too high, because it's the subscription service model. You start looking at things like how much things like Netflix and stuff cost. You don't want to stray too far from that sort of price range. Otherwise, it does start to feel as an expensive thing.
Well, this is where the split's irritatingly starting to follow other models. I don't know if obviously, I know you rotate between your subscriptions. I noticed yesterday I was watching something we watched Deadpool 2 on Disney Plus, and we were hit with like adverts and trailers before it started, and it was like, what why am I getting adverts on my Disney Plus now? And then Amazon does it. Unless you play for the higher tier for an extra £2, you get adverts on Amazon Prime now, and it's like,
well, I feel like Prime's always been a weird one where not everything in the catalogue you get. Some things that you just still have to pay anyway, and it's like, no,
there's nothing worse than seeing a movie on Amazon Prime going, oh, let's watch that tonight, and then you click it and it goes, oh, rent it for $6.99. It's like, you bastards. But I do feel like we're starting to get nickel and dimed as they look to penny pinch. And it's all well and good going, we'll introduce a new tier that's lower. But it's like, but then you're forcing your original user base up a tier just to get what they already had. It's almost like a more disgenuine way of doing it.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you.
It sucks. Because now I'm like reluctant. I'm like, well, I can suffer through a few adverts. And like when we got them watching Deadpool, I said to my wife, it was like, we're literally slowly regressing back to just cable service TV.
Yeah.
I have adverts. It would want like that was the great thing when Netflix and stuff started off. It's like you didn't have adverts. You hit play, you could binge the whole series with nothing. And now I'm back to, but you need to pay a premium for that benefit now. It's like, but that was one of the core benefits. And like similar to games day one was the Game Pass message through and through. Play Xbox titles day one with Game Pass, except for now, only on Ultimate. It's like, it's changes that I can see why they've made them, but it's a shame they had to be made.
They've made them, I think, because the profitability of Xbox hasn't been high enough, and now Big Daddy Microsoft is paying a lot more attention to what Xbox is doing. So they're having to make changes. I think that the worst thing about it for me is not that they're putting the price up, that they've muddied the messaging. There's too many different tiers. Even me reading a Windows Central article is difficult to find the information I need. That's a problem. It should be clean. You should just be able to go, here's the offerings, and this is why I say get rid of PC Game Pass. And just go, you know what, you have Game Pass Standard, Game Pass Ultimate. I'd get rid of Core. It's pointless. No one wants it. How many people are actually on Core who weren't already on Games with Gold for whatever reason?
Get yourself on all access like us and save money.
Yeah, and how many people on Games with Gold purely for the online subscription, which I genuinely 100% believe in 2024 should not be a premium thing.
But then it's weird, isn't it? Because there's some games like Fortnite get a pass for that.
Yeah.
Where Fortnite's free without it. So it's...
Because Epic have probably put pressure on Microsoft to let them through.
Yeah.
But I've never known, from my time as a PC gamer, I've never known you have to have a subscription service for anything to be able to play a game online unless the game itself had a subscription service built in. Yeah. Like, Steam's never done it. Yeah. Epic's never done it.
It's like, remember when crossplay wasn't a thing?
Yeah.
And like PlayStation got loads of shit for it, and it was Fortnite that kind of broke the camel's back with that one, where it's like, you can't be trying to siphon off player bases. Like, everyone wants to play together. Stop being a dick. Yeah. And then, it is an odd world we live in, but Game Pass changes, they're there for a reason, and I think a big one is the rumour of what's coming to Game Pass probably later this month. Yeah,
and I understand the reason why they're actually stopping people stacking as well. Because I think that always, to me, I get why people did it, but it clearly is just an exploit. You're not meant to do that. So I think that feels like them all just closing a loophole. Yeah. For anyone who did stack membership, it does suck, but...
Good for you for doing it previously. Like, again, it's like it's a fair loophole, isn't it? You're not doing anything illegal or breaking the rules. It's just... If you're savvy enough and have the capital to invest in Game Pass to cover yourself for the next several years, then good for you. But I don't know about you, Richie. I don't have that couple hundred quid lying around to stack, unfortunately. So
no, unfortunately, it's one of them things where it's actually expensive to be poor.
Yes,
it's true. There's a theory in economics where, because let's say if a poor person has to buy a pair of shoes, they'll have to spend. They can't afford to buy an expensive pair of shoes, so they buy a cheap pair of shoes. And a year later, they run out, so they buy a pair of shoes. And a year later, they buy a pair of shoes, and so on and so forth. Within, say, 5 years, a rich person who buys a better pair of shoes will have actually saved money relative to the poor person because they've still got the same ones.
Just don't buy Crocs.
Yeah. If you're wearing Crocs right now, take them off and get some self-respect. Because Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is coming to Game Pass this month.
And if you're wearing Crocs and socks at the same time, just unsubscribe from the channel. Don't ever listen to us again. You're dead to us.
I disagree with that statement. What you should do is join us for as little as 99p, in which case we might consider forgiving you.
A fine. Yes, that's more constructive. Yeah, you're going to be fine. If you're currently listening to this show and you're wearing socks and Crocs, you are fined a silver tier membership right now. Yeah. Click below, join, silver. You owe us that much.
And guess what? On YouTube, if you already have a silver tier membership, you're in luck. You can just gift one to someone else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Modern Warfare 3 coming to Game Pass, Chris? A good get?
Yeah, I feel like we know Call of Duty. We know the new one's coming now after the showcase they had in the summer, so that's imminently off. And the rumor going around is it's going to hit later this month. Personally, and from most regions, Modern Warfare 3 was an absolute failure last year for them. I mean, it still sold gangbusters, but it got raked across the coals in terms of what was missing from it. It was half baked. The online was a bit shit, and it just didn't do justice to the original Modern Warfare 3. It looked great, of course, but there was a lot to be desired. And I think we said that was the ironic thing, is as soon as Microsoft acquired them, even though it had nothing to do with them other than they're new owners, it's the first year Call of Duty's really tripped up a little bit in over a decade. I mean, it still sold plenty, and it will still continue to, but isn't it the irony of when Xbox needed a win, they just take stewardship of the ship, and they find out the ship's got a big hole in it for this year?
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess Modern Warfare 3, they're probably looking at it as like it's the best thing they can crank out into Game Pass. That'll get the most people on board and hyped for the new one. I think they're leaving it a little bit late, to be honest, because the new one's just around the corner. But if they're looking at the numbers and it's kind of hit that saturation point where if people were going to buy it have bought it now, it's kind of like FIFA. We get to the time of the year when it just shows up on everything, doesn't it? Because it's filled its boots. It's done what it needed to do. The new cycle's due to start.
FIFA is a game that, this is the thing with Call of Duty, because it does have traditionally, like, there's a new game every year. So
annualised, right?
Like sports games, you have that natural cycle. They basically, it's an artificial one where it's like the game lasts for 1 year, then you're done. Mm-hmm. So the sales must drop off a cliff like at so late in the year, because like realistically, FIFA, who's buying it now? You're probably getting some sales because the Euros are on.
Yeah.
But no one's paying full price for that game now. So yeah, I think this is a good move as well, and it might actually breathe some life back into Modern Warfare 3.
Yeah, I do wonder if there's been like a legal threshold that's been crossed, because remember we were talking on last week or the week before about Crash Bandicoot coming to Game Pass this month. I think maybe there's been like an Activision terms and conditions that's been crossed with the purchase, where they're actually allowed to from maybe the start of August. And that's why we're now hearing these rumours of like, well, you're going to get Call of Duty, you're going to get Crash, maybe some other things. I think there's been a line that's been passed, or will be about to be come August. I can't remember what the date it was officially cleared on, but it's almost like there's too many ducks lining up for it not to be like a cut-off point.
Yeah, there's probably been, after the purchase, they probably started the next like round of legal stuff, challenges to get over to actually be able to bring the games to Game Pass. And they're probably been waiting a lot for the green light from the lawyers to go, you are safe to put this on now. There's not going to be any major legal challenges. We've got all our ducks in a row. Yeah. And
quack.
Yeah, and it might just be a case of, there might be, as I said, a contract because with PlayStation that went, you can't do it for a year.
Yeah. We'll probably check it out.
Well, actually, the year will be ending November. But... yeah. So it might be a case of, we'll give Sony a small bag of cash, and they'll go, you know what, we'll waive that. It's only a few months.
Yeah, and in a way, it does mask the price increase as well. Like, the price has gone up, but then they're like, well, you're getting last year's Call of Duty for free, so stop moaning. Like, even if you're not into that, it is good value, realistically, and then you'll be getting the new one, day one, if you've got Ultimate. So it's almost like, for the sake of $3 or £2 for us, you've saved £70 on the new entry, and you've saved whatever the current going rate for Modern Warfare 3 is, plus all the other things that are coming later this year, like Indiana Jones and Avowed and stuff. So the value's inherently there immediately, and this is what Xbox are obviously banking on. But yeah, I think Modern Warfare 3, get it in. I'm looking forward to Crash Bandicoot. I think it'll be nice to play Call of Duty with our audience on our weekly live streams, and if we get Crash Team Racing, we'll see you guys out on the grid.
Indeed. Let's move on, Chris, to the next story, where brick and mortar store game in the UK, they've been let's be fair, it's been dying a slow death.
Like most high street retailers, yeah.
Yeah, and from August the 1st, they're ending pre-orders. Weird decision, do you reckon?
It's a damning tale of, unfortunately, the state of the physical media industry and the high street as a whole, thanks to the rise of online. Games arguably been poorly managed for quite some time. We obviously lament the fact that they're now owned by Mike Ashley, and recently they've closed loads of their stores. There's no flagship stores. I couldn't even tell you where our nearest one is. That isn't in a Sports Direct.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. Sports Direct, like they've put Game, like a physical retailer for video games and gaming merchandise. They reduced the amount of games they're stocked, increased the amount of merchandise, then got rid of the stores and put it in the corner of Sports Direct. Who, if you're not in the UK, is basically a cost-effective sporting goods store, and it's like a jumble sale. To be honest, the terrible stores.
They are.
You put two people in that store and it's crowded. It's horrible.
You can't move for stock. It's like you're in a warehouse. But I actually, back to your shoe analogy, I bought some trainers from a Sports Direct a couple of weeks ago, and the poor lad who was obviously a game member staff was getting dragged over to sell shoes and socks and vests and stuff like that, and then trying to get back to his till that was on the game side of things, and it's just so convoluted and messy.
It kills the soul. I went to one in Middlesbrough, not far from where we live, and it kills the soul of it, because you feel like, I'm in a tiny little corner of a store, and the footy boots are over there, there's a mountain bike over there, and I'm looking at some bloody Funko Pops of like Crash Bandicoot. It just felt off.
It is the vibe's wrong. Off, and there is a reality where the nerdy folks who usually hang out in a game and have a browse around a game don't tend to also do the get fit, sporty exercise stuff that a lot of people are in Sports Direct for. Yeah. Like, there will be some crossover naturally, but you know what I mean. It's like one is for video game nerds and one's for sporty enthusiasts. It's a clash of hobbies and interests.
We have both actually in the crossover of it. But for me, it's like, I know when I go into a guitar shop, it's a specialist thing.
Yeah.
And everyone in there is there for the love of music.
Yeah.
So you can just nerd out with the staff. Yeah. I don't want someone who's just a retail drone who's just used to selling, like, I don't know, like football shirts.
You want expertise, knowledge, don't you?
Yeah, imagine you're someone's nana and you want to go, you've walked into a game and you're asking someone, my son's into this game, and the person behind the till is just like, don't have a clue because they're not a gamer.
Yeah.
Just jumped on the till to help out. It should be staffed by gamers, because you want people who can talk about the games. They might not have played that game, but they should have heard of it. That's how you make these specialist stores work. By adding value, and the value comes from people.
And that's, I think, stores that are surviving on the high street are ones that have bespoke staff who can offer that experience where you go in and you have, like you said, that niche interest, or you feel like you're in a place that's specific to what you're there for. And I do think gaming has kind of, as big as it's gotten, it's almost became that, it's that niche hobbyist thing that you go into. And they've made other mistakes. I hate the fact that they've cut corners on all of their, like, the sale material, where everything just looks like cheap cardboard now. So, like, all the stuff in the window, the displays, it looks like it's ready. It's like recyclable. It's just in and out.
It's went from a specialist premium store to a cheap jumble sale.
Yeah, there's some Funko Pops.
Let's be fair,
some second-hand phones.
That's all Mike Ashley does as a business. When he owned Newcastle United, it was exactly the same. It's all about cutting costs, stripping everything back, and never investing. How much money can I get out of this? And when he's not getting enough money out of it, he starts closing it down, and that's what we're seeing.
Yeah.
In what the stores like this need, and I do think brick and mortar is important for the gaming landscape, especially with physical media. And you can use your add-on sales, your Funko Pops, your merchandise as the way to bring it up.
Yeah.
But
like you said, it's been a slow burn. I think the website is starting to slow down. But the news this week is I think a couple of weeks ago we reported that they're getting rid of their loyalty program. So the points, if you have any points, their cut-off point is like later this year. But then this time round, pre-orders,
21st of August, that's getting cut.
To stop taking pre-orders is a damning sign that, like, if you aren't banking cash for future releases, that is a sign that they won't be here by Christmas. That looks bad. Yeah.
Here's the thing: pre-orders are not for consumers; they're for businesses. Because pre-orders means that whoever's stocking these stores knows how much they need to stock. they make it stocking so much easier because they know how many copies they need to buy. Obviously, not everyone's going to pre-order the game, but if you have 10,000 pre-orders of a game, you might go, okay, what's our multiplier? We're going to make sure we have that 10,000 plus maybe another 5,000 raring to go because this game looks like it's going to sell well. If you get 1,000 going and go, you know what, we'll get 1,100 in. We probably don't need to risk too much.
Yeah.
Pre-orders, generally, the reason pre-orders exist and not for us, they're for the businesses. That's why you have to give pre-order bonuses, because you have to put some value for the consumer in there. So to stop pre-orders at all suggests that what he's trying to do is they're trying to just cut down on the logistics of, there's one less thing we need to worry about logistically. We just have to stock and that's it. And he doesn't care if you come to him and buy it, because I think he's already in his mind. He knows he's closing this up.
He's liquidating assets completely, isn't he?
Yeah, completely. Well, he's already been set. He already has, because he got rid of the actual dedicated stores for most of them.
So property's gone in big units into small units he already owns. So that's pure profit he's made on selling the properties. The winding down the trading products. They no longer do trade-ins or buy pre-owned games. So they do none of that anymore. The membership thing's gone, we said. Remember they dropped access for Xbox All Access as well?
Yeah.
Which Xbox haven't helped them by doing all digital, because then Game get no after sales from that. No one's going in for a digital code when you can just buy it on the storefront. So like their income stream for Xbox must have suffered massively in the last couple of years.
But that's part of adapting your business, and I don't think you cut off a line when considering the line for that is literally a bit of cardboard on a wall. It's not like going to take up a huge amount of retail space.
It's an interesting one.
I think what these stores need to do is, yes, you need to have games, you need to have consoles for sale. I do think that the trade-in system is good, because I mean it keeps all the games alive. Because someone who's got, I just emptied the loft and I got a load of Sega Mega Drive stuff. I don't want to take it down to your local game store, sell it. They put it in the window. Someone else buys it. It keeps the stuff alive, so it's good. It's good for that. But I think like they don't do merchandise very well. I don't think in gaming.
No, they have poor. I get more video game merch online.
Yeah,
just because it's like the cool stuff. Again, like the bespoke nerdy stuff just isn't there.
Yeah,
like they just don't have it. They've got just way too many Funko Pops, double down way too much on certain franchises, but they don't have that wider pop culture, nerd culture stuff that like a Forbidden Planet would have. Yeah,
that's a good Forbidden Planet's a good example. You go on Forbidden Planet and you know what you're getting. It's full on nerd shit everywhere. That's how a game store should be, but for game stuff. So you should be able to get gaming memorabilia, buy, I don't know, do you want to buy a Pokemon mug? You should be able to go to a retail store and buy one. It's that kind of stuff that I feel like they just don't have enough of.
No, they don't have enough variety.
Keep these places alive. Yeah.
It's it is a sad state of affairs. I do think it's a tough one to answer, because I think even's doing, you could pivot towards taking in retro and trade-ins, but it's like, does that pay the bills? Does that keep the lights on, the staff? While with inflation going up and and we know Mike actually does 0-hour contracts for a lot of staff anyway, which is shit. I think come January, February, I think these will be done.
I think
unfortunately,
I think longer than that. I think it's probably got a couple of years left, but it's going to be slow. It's bleeding out. It's going to take a while.
The telling story will be if the Switch 2 gets announced, and a PS5 Pro, and then not doing pre-orders on hardware. If they aren't lining up customers to come on and pick up their new Switches and their PS5 Pros and whatever new Xbox will be. But on games, is that just full stop or just games?
Pre-orders, as far as we know, it's full stop.
Pre-orders, yeah. If they're not doing it on hardware as well, they're done. Absolutely done. Because that would be their biggest income day, wouldn't it? As a console launch, people are going to come in, get the console, probably buy a game or two, maybe an accessory upsell. Yeah. If you ain't getting people lined up for that day, then you are done. And it's a shame. Maybe we'll just get like vinyl record stores are on the rise. Yeah. We have one in our town now, I noticed yesterday.
That's good. The return of the music store, that's something Like, it was always sad to see music stores go away because I used to like going to music store. That's why you discover, when you were younger, you discover new bands.
Yeah.
Because you browse, like, oh, I haven't heard that band. Oh, a couple of quid, I'll buy the CD.
Yeah. But the flip side, I guess, of that is vinyl is like the purest form of music, isn't it? So it's
the snobbiest form.
Yeah, I mean, that too, yeah. But
I don't buy into the argument of it being higher quality.
It is, though, isn't it? Well,
then a pure digital
like
signal.
Pure music. I don't know. I don't know much about music to say that.
Some people think it sounds better. I think it's a myth, personally. Zelda and Nintendo are getting blamed for year-on-year sales of a 40% drop, Chris, compared to May. This is May to May, 2024 to 2023. Interesting one. Tears of Kingdom getting blamed for dropping sales. I think Tears of the Kingdom... It's a weird phrase in this Eurogame article, because Tears of the Kingdom obviously sold incredibly well.
Yeah.
And obviously Switch sales are down this year compared to last year.
I think that's all it is, statistically. Which you're going to get. Like, I 100% guarantee you when Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out next year, you're going to see records broken of, like, most units shipped, most consoles sold within a day and a month, because everyone is going to clamber to get GTA 6. So then the following year, in 2026, that month is going to look shit on the charts because it's going to plummet because it ain't going to have GTA launching. It isn't going to have a once-in-a-2-decade title launching. And, like, Zelda, again, is huge for Nintendo. Yeah. So, yes, they had a massive spike. So when you reflect back a year later, you ain't going to, like, what's come out that's anywhere near on the level of Zelda this month. Last month, sorry. May. We're talking May, aren't we? Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. It's been
it's
just been a quiet year so far.
So being down 40% compared to last year is no surprise.
I also think there's other factors going on. Obviously, you're getting a spike in sales because of Zelda. Everyone is currently waiting for the announcement of the sequel to the successor to the Switch. Mm-hmm. We're just waiting. So who is buying Switches right now? Naturally, as a console goes on, the rate of sales of consoles is going to go down. That's just natural, and that will drop off drastically as the expectation grows for the next platform. Because who wants to drop hundreds of pounds on the console to find out next week? Oh, by the way, Switch 2 is going to come out in September, or it's going to come out in January. You're just waiting. Like, so there's that, and I think there's also greater global financial trends where people's wallets are getting squeezed more and more.
Yeah, and like looking at the other statistics, it says it wasn't just the hardware that's down year on year. Content for games was only down by 3%, which again, Zelda isn't like a content-heavy, season pass-heavy title, so that could be why that's such a small drop-off compared to the 40%. Yeah. And it says gaming accessories also dropped 8%. However, last May, the PlayStation Portal came out. So it's like you're going to have a boom of people who go and buy this physical hardware, and then, it's going to drop off. Like, the PSVR 2 sales are probably a hell of a lot less now than when it launched, because you've got that marketing, you've got that people talking about it, like you and me jumping on the Portal saying, yeah, it's great. You don't have that a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later.
Yeah.
So
we haven't got the new shiny thing this year.
Yeah.
Well, Tears of the Kingdom, let's be fair, was probably one of the most anticipated games of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, maybe not of all time, but over the last 10 years, everyone loved Breath of the Wild, so everyone was like, oh, Tears of the Kingdom, I can't wait to get our hands on that.
Yeah,
so, you're going to see a spike. And as you mentioned, the Portal, the PlayStation actually struggled to keep up with demand. They struggled to produce them at one point quick enough. So I think, just in general, it's just...
The market's okay, though. It's still currently worth $22.8 billion a year in US dollars, so I think it's not going anywhere.
I think people can panic as well when markets slow down, but sometimes they just go in peaks and troughs. And
they're in cycles.
At some point, the market might shrink a bit. Mm-hmm. It's not real reason to panic as long as it's shrinking too much.
Again,
and sometimes it is just a case of we're quite far out from recent console launches.
Yeah, and mark my words, Grand Theft Auto will be huge next year.
100%.
Like, people who've been holding off on buying new consoles, people who want to go out and probably buy the PS5 Pro and whatever the new Xbox is. Obviously, it won't be on Switch 2, but there'll be that launch as well at some point, probably around next year. We'll see.
I'm not expecting it to be, but it could be.
But it's just going to be so big. Like we have friends who've probably not played a game in probably over a year now, who will go out and spend a fortune just for GTA 6.
Yeah.
And again, we haven't had a new GTA for how long now? 2013 was it? So well over a decade.
Yeah.
Like, this is a long time coming. So yeah, it's gonna be huge. But I think you're right. I wouldn't pay too much heed to this.
Yeah, you know what isn't a long time coming? Palworld developer has signed a deal with Sony to expand the franchise beyond video games. Is Sony trying to make its very own Pokemon with Palworld?
I mean, when I saw the headline of this article, I genuinely thought PlayStation had bought the studios.
That was my initial thought.
The rights,
but no,
and then it's not PlayStation, it's Sony Music Entertainment and
Aniplex
brands, whoever they are.
Yeah, Aniplex, like an anime company.
Okay.
I think they're owned by Sony.
They do plush toys merchandise, so it looks like they're going to make all your soft Pokemon-esque plushies.
So if Palworld hasn't been compared to Pokemon enough, they're basically going, "Oh, how can we do more Pokemon-like things?"
Yeah, I mean, it's not even on PlayStation yet. It's Xbox and PC.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So they made a deal with Sony, but they're not even on PlayStation yet. So this must be lining up for maybe a launch on PS5 at some point in the next couple of months. It must be imminent.
Coming soon, yeah. If you're signing like these multimedia contracts at the Sony level rather than the PlayStation level, this is coming soon.
How many people do you think are playing Palworld now? Like, I feel like for you and me, obviously, it's dropped right off. But then
it was 25 million back in February.
Let's see, concurrent
Palworld concurrent
Steam charts.
Palworld concurrent.
It's just got 63,000 playing it right now. 84,000 at peak.
That's concurrent. So yeah. You know what? It looks. It did have its peak. Its peak. Looking at Steam DB. So this is I think this is Steam only variations. Was at 101,000 back in January 28th. By March the 11th, you're down to 137. So that went down from basically 2,100,000.
Yeah.
So I lost in 2 months. I lost like 2 million players, but slowly been declining. Although it's had a little spike back up to over 100,000 in July.
I'm actually surprised. Like, if you look at what I would compare it to as the other major breakout success this year, Helldivers 2.
Yeah.
Helldivers 24-hour peak currently is only 32,000.
Yeah.
So Palworld is like more than double it. It's players right now. Helldivers got 25,000. Palworld's got 63. So I would have argued Helldivers is getting the most notability, but actually Palworld still, obviously it's not even on PS5, and they said these are just Steam numbers, but they do paint a really good picture of it. And
I don't think it's dropped below 20,000.
No, but that's impressive. And I think, again, knowing how big Pokemon is and has been for years, and now seemingly Nintendo aren't going after them. I think it's been too long now.
Yeah.
I think that the whole court case of going, they're going to sue them, and I think that's past. It's been and done now.
So, do you think these numbers are strong enough? Because I'm not sure they are, you know. It seems like end of June, start of July, it's got another lift. It's had someone similar in April where it went over 100,000 again.
Well, this is where the release of the patches and updates, but obviously it was a smaller studio who had to massively size up after the huge success. It's kind of similar to what Fortnite team had to do as soon as they blew up. And I think this deal, with it specifically being Sony, I can see them basically looking to just get into toys and really going after that family kids market. I think if we get an animated show out of this that did like is on kids' TV,
An animated
and stuff,
show could really
on
spice
Netflix,
this.
like drill home, give it like a story. And again, I think it's close enough to Pokemon that kids will watch it. And then it is like that again, like building from a small seed upwards. So then when Palworld 2 comes out, or an update version, or whatever their intentions are for it, it's in pop culture more than it would have been without this multi-brand push. So I think actually having it in entertainment and music, if we get an anime, maybe a movie, some plushy toys, some t-shirts and stuff, I think some solid synergy could see Palworld actually be around for a lot longer than anyone had ever thought at the beginning of the year. And I think it's going to sneak in there with 1 or 2 awards as well, come Game Awards season.
Potentially, yeah. I think with like ongoing game or something.
Yeah, best newcomer, those kind of things.
I think with Sony Music Entertainment being involved, that probably goes hand in hand with the anime. Get yourself a catchy theme tune, published and owned by Sony.
Yeah.
And then I think this studio could end up getting bought by Sony, you know.
Unless Microsoft swoop, because it was exclusive on Xbox, and that's where it picked up a lot of its traction early doors, because it was free.
It was, but if this gets a PS5 launch, if maybe a PlayStation Plus launch gets the numbers back up, Sony might just go, there you go. There might even be a contract already pre-signed where if it gets over certain numbers, I get a contract clause goes up and the purchase goes through. I wouldn't be surprised about contracts like that existing.
Yeah, I mean, Pocket Pair, the developers, where are they even based? Is it Japan? A Japanese developer, so PlayStation could be in there with just the locality. Yeah. Well done, Palworld. Making deals, making moves.
Well done. Hopefully we'll see more from you in the future, because you know what we are seeing more of, Chris? Planet Coaster. Planet Coaster 2 is coming this autumn.
Yeah, quick turnaround. They've been teasing it for some time, but to actually finally get an announcement trailer, it's good to see. I'm a big fan of Planet Coaster. I've enjoyed playing. Again, I'm a roller coaster tycoon fan at heart, and this series is very much the spiritual successor to that. A lot of people who work at Frontier used to work on the original roller coaster tycoon games, so to see this coming out, it's great to see. We know they support the games quite well. We've seen it with Jurassic World Evolution, which somehow Frontier are making a third entry in that series. I was talking to my brother about this one. It's like it annoys me that Jurassic World Evolution wasn't just one game and they added more dinosaurs, they added more rides, they added more park infrastructure. Then they did a sequel, and now they're doing a third game in a park management. It's almost like it doesn't need it. It's ripe for being just a platform. And Planet Coaster, in a way, I feel the same about, but it's been so long since the original. It's almost the engine and stuff has moved on enough for it to kind of merit a sequel now. Although this one is the big focus they're going with is it comes with water rides, and it's like, that should be standard for a theme park, if you ask me. Like water rides, dinghies and stuff. It's like, yeah. I think you're on mute.
These are sort of games where I think one game a generation is about the right cadence.
Yeah.
Because then you support for the entire console generation. And then as you get the new technology next console, you have the next upgrade. And ideally you want to try and get it out in the first quarter of that kind of console generation to give it the legs.
Yeah. Well, this is the sign of the industry, though, as well, at the same time. Like, back in the day, you would have just got everything there to either unlock or use, and then now it's like, oh, there's more cosmetics for these roller coasters come with different tracks, or these ride carts are different, or your ticket entrances are themed different, like jungle theme and stuff, but it was all included. So like I said, the water stuff being added, it's a bit, it doesn't hit as much as I think they think it does for me, but then I'm the guy who would build a log flume and roller coaster tycoon and rake in the money at like fest. That's the fest ride you should build in roller coaster tycoon if you got the cash, because it rakes it in. But Frontier doing a couple of things. They're back to what they know best, which is this is what kickstarted them off. But it's not all good at Frontier, Richie.
It's not. Just touching on the water park stuff before we move on, actually, I'm kind of with you where it feels like this is just highlighting something that should have been in there to begin with.
Yeah.
But
maybe the engine didn't run water physics very well.
Yeah, the downside, going off Frontier is Cities Skylines 2 console relaunch is delayed indefinitely. They haven't got it working yet, and so they're not going. It originally had an October date, but they've got rid of that, and they're not releasing it. In the post, Paradox's team said slow and steady progress, but there's still unresolved issues that need to be addressed before it's ready. I'm paraphrasing here. We expect to receive a new release candidate, which will undergo for a review in August. This evaluation will determine whether we can begin the submission process and provide a solid release date, or if further issues need to be addressed. Basically, they're not putting a release date on it because they don't know themselves.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, I'd rather they did that, but in an interesting pivot, you've got the kind of two simulation things. You've got Frontier over here doing everything in order, doing the right thing, and then Paradox seemingly like struggling to get this out. But it had a rough start on PC, if you remember City Skylines 2, where it almost wasn't ready to go. It got delayed a couple of times. So this now getting delayed as well. It's obviously the right thing to do, but it seems like they're struggling a bit.
I don't think they delayed the PC version. I think they delayed the console version so they could focus on getting the PC version out properly. But
I'm sure there was something. I can't remember. They did early access.
So I'm reading from a Eurogame article. Ahead of its release, Paradox confessed the city-building sequel had not achieved the performance benchmark we targeted, but it still decided not to delay the PC launch. Then back in April, the company, along with developer Colossal Order, issued a stark apology for the state of City Skylines 2. So I think they knew it wasn't good enough, but launched it anyway.
Yeah. Looking here, it's got technical issues. In the days following the launch, the game received mixed reviews. The majority of reviews criticising the game's various performance issues and noticeable bugs. Since its release, it's failed to shift that perception regarding the game, with the majority of community reviews still being negative on Steam. It says in here, sales, it reached more than 100,000 concurrent players on Steam, but come February 2024, Paradox revealed it had only just sold 1 million copies. So, interesting. So, which I guess is why they want to delay the console release, because they don't want to have like a double hit of bad perception twice. You only get two shakes at the stick, PC and console.
Yeah.
And I guess it's like, right, this could be the critical turning point for this franchise and IP, because Cities is beloved, but they rested on the original for so long. Like, I can do nothing but applaud them for how long they supported the original for. It was like 8-9 years nearly. It even got a Stadia release. We played it on the channel.
It did, yeah, it did, which was awesome, because that's why one of the things I always said about Stadia, the advantage of something like Stadia is it can bridge the gap between console and PC gaming.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately,
it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. It is, indeed. You know what is the right thing to do as well, Chris? Talk about the first Descendant and the fact that it's hit 10 million players in its first week.
Good
Not
for
too
them.
bad. Not too bad.
It's a game we've not even covered on the channel, I don't think. It kind of didn't really get any marketing. For those who don't know, it's like it's the latest looter shooter that's hit. It's done well on Steam to start with. But yeah, 10 million Descendants. I think we looked at it, and it's getting a bit of criticism for its interface. Looks very Destiny-esque. It's got cross-progression, cross-play, so it's kind of set up to do well. You do need to sign into a Nexon account, by the way, so if you're anyone who had problems with signing in a PS Plus for Helldivers, get ready, you need to make a Nexon account. The
reality of any game that has cross-play, cross-progression is they're going to have a system that connects to different platforms. It's just the reality of it.
Absolutely. And they got a lot of shit for their microtransaction systems because it's so aggressive for things. And the worst part for me, what I was listening to over on the Kind of Funny podcast, was the coins that you buy, like the premium currency coins. They give you enough that they're just short of how much some of the packs cost, so you need to buy two. So you need to basically so it's like that cut-off point is like 10 pence short, so you need to buy two bundles to take you well beyond, so you've got credit left over, but Yeah, so it's like it's tactically designed.
I hate that stuff. I know why they do it. It's actually smart from a business point of view.
Yeah.
But it's fuck you. Like, seriously.
Because you got to go, well, I want to buy that skin. I don't quite have enough. I'll buy 2 packs, but then you're left with like 80% credit left over, so I'll buy another one, and then you're in this cycle of just topping yourself up all the time.
For me, I mean, without any reflection on the quality of the game itself, I hate these practices because it feels like what you're doing is providing a bad service and trying to manipulate people into engaging in it by going, you know what, you have to buy 2 packs. Oh, but then I've got all these coins, so I might as well buy more so I can get something else because I'm 90% of the way there already. Or what you could do is produce good content that people want to pay for properly.
Yeah, there's also issues with character mods improve.
Yeah, if you produce good content,
stats.
It encourages people to actually just want to spend the money rather than having to manipulate them into it.
Yeah.
So,
but we can't speak much for the game, but it's any game that comes, any new IP that has success, it's fantastic for them. I always wish them all the best, but there's certain nefarious practices, and specifically for me, it's the type of game that it's not really for you and me actually now.
No, it's not.
But games like Warfare and stuff have done huge, and I think but being inspired by like Destiny and stuff. Like Destiny is like the benchmark for games as a service. So if you're going to base your things on anything, that's a good one to take. So I'd say let us know in the comments if you've played the first Descendant. Should we check it out on the channel with our audience?
And
let us know.
I think it's worth pointing out that, or at least on Steam, it is a free-to-play game, which probably partially explains why the numbers are so high. Just because you can just try it. But I think this is one where the concurrence is going to be important, because it's all well and good saying you got 10 million players, but if you only got 1,000 players left.
Yeah.
But right now, at the time of recording, so it's about 6:30 on Friday the 12th of July, there's currently 175,000 players playing.
Damn.
So that's like 10 times Palworld.
Good start.
24-hour peak is currently at 180, and all-time peak was at 265, which was 5 days ago. To be honest, I think that's solid.
It's a good start. They've got this weekend. They've got the Concord early access or beta or something. Is free to play weekend is up as well. So it'll be interesting to see, because they're so similar in terms of shooters and stuff. See how many people pull over and check Concord out, if it pulls away from it, or maybe people check both out and actually prefer the first Descendant. But it takes a lot of hard work to get a new IP to get some traction. So we've got a couple dropping into the arena this year, and see if any of them are around in a year's time.
Yeah, and that's all we have from the news section this week. And as always, we like to end the show by rounding out with This Week in Video Game History. So starting at July the 12th, Mr. Chris.
Nothing for me.
Really? Oh, you have bad taste in video games.
Did I have the wrong day?
We got Pokemon. Oh, what? Oh, I thought I said Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, but it's not. Pokemon
I was going to say, yeah.
It's Pokemon Box Ruby and Sapphire. I don't know what that is.
I did look, and it was like
on the GameCube.
See?
But I mean, Octopath Traveler.
That was the only thing on my list that stood out, but I thought you would pick that one up for Octopath Traveler. I will say, if you jump forward to the 13th of July, the original Metal Gear, not Metal Gear Solid, the original Metal Gear came out 37 years ago in 1987 in Japan, which is insane, on the MSX, which I don't even know what platform that is.
It's Microsoft, I think, maybe.
In Japan? In 87? Surely not.
No, I don't know.
Should we do a bit of research and actually find out for our audience out there?
You do that bit of research while I point out a few other things.
Japan
Shin Megami Tensei Persona 3 came out 18 years ago on the PlayStation 2, which has just had a remake. And there was Tales of Symphonia was brought out on the GameCube 20 years ago. So anyone who's played Tales of Arise, it's in the same... I actually don't know if it's the same universe, but it's... Oh, Chris. July the 14th.
I did look ahead to that one. And that was the day I was sitting on until you raked me across the coals, and I went back 2 days to go like, oh, what is there? Yeah, it's Mario Day almost.
Hell yeah. It isn't half. And when we say Mario Day, what we're saying is 41 years ago, on 1983, the Mario Bros. Arcade game came out.
Wow.
Not the first appearance of Mario, though. That was in Donkey Kong.
It was.
32 years ago.
What was it called? Jumpman.
Mario Jumpman Mario or something.
Jumpman.
Yeah.
Then we got Mario Paint 32 years ago in 1992. Then Mario All-Stars 31 years ago in Japan.
Potentially, arguably, still the best bundle of games ever made.
Absolutely. And then nothing else of
F-Zero
note.
X and the Nintendo 64 26 years ago.
Good spot. But yeah, nothing else there. The MSX, by the way, is MSX is a standardized home computer architecture announced by the ACS2 Corporation in 1983. It was initially conceived by Microsoft, so good pull there, as a product for the Eastern sector, and it was jointly marketed by Yasukio Nishi. Essentially, it looks like the Commodore, but it looks like the development was pushed out to other manufacturers. So it was made by Sony, it was made by Samsung, Sharp, Philips, Canon, basically Fujitsu, JVC, anyone who was making electrics at the time. Looks like they had a hand in like this version or this thing. So it looked like it was, like PCs, they're made by like multiple different hardware companies. But before the success of the Nintendo family computer, the MSX was the platform that major Japanese studios such as Konami and Hudson Soft, the Metal Gear series, were first written for.
Well, there
you go. So you wouldn't potentially have Metal Gear Solid without the MSX in Japan.
Yeah.
So there you go. Not only this day in video game history, but history for you wonderful folks out there as well.
I've had a quick read into Pokemon Box Ruby and Sapphire for the GameCube, and it's basically glorified Pokemon storage system.
All right, so it's Pokemon.
It's Pokemon Home.
Pokemon Home.
Well before then, so you could store your Pokemons.
Palworld Home.
Yeah, Palworld Home.
It's coming. Palworld Sleep. Palworld Go. Palworld Go for mobile. It's going to be a thing, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's going to be a thing.
And you know what else is going to be a thing, Chris? The outro to this video. And if you have liked the video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you kept in the loop. All fantastic content here at GamerGuildTV, where we have the podcast every single Monday at 8 a.m. GMT. We have a live stream usually every Thursday. Chris is also launching his Warhammer playthrough. What day was that goes up? Is it Tuesday?
This past Friday it went up.
Past Friday, so keep an eye on the channel for that. This is why you have to hit the bell icon so you know when it comes up.
And join the Discord.
All the socials you need are in the description below, including, as Chris mentioned, our Discord. And with that, my name's been Richie.
Well, hopefully Euro winners, Richie. But
it came home.
It came home fine. We'll shut up about it if it came home.
No, we won't.
Best of luck for the future, England. Commiserations if we're not through. My name's been Chris.
GG, everyone. Goodbye.